Mummies, often synonymous with Egypt's grand tombs, have captivated us for centuries, yet these enigmatic remains are far from exclusive to the Nile Valley. From the icy heights of the Andes to the subterranean depths of Italy, mummies emerge as haunting relics from forgotten worlds. These preserved bodies are more than just historical artifacts. Each mummy holds a unique narrative, inviting us to explore the enigmatic rituals and deep-seated spiritual convictions of ancient civilizations. But before we get started, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to click the subscribe button. The Lost Children of Palermo's Catacombs. In Palermo, Sicily, the Capuchin catacombs house a deeply moving and eerie secret, the mummified remains of hundreds of children. Dressed in their finest clothing, these small bodies have been preserved for centuries, their faces serene as if frozen in peaceful slumber, yet behind their stillness lies a mystery that has puzzled historians and locals alike. Who were these children and why were they mummified with such meticulous care? Unlike the grand ornate mummies of Egypt, these children appear almost lifelike, as though they could awaken at any moment. Their presence is both haunting and heartbreaking, serving as a stark reminder of the fragility of life in a bygone era. Now, a team of scientists is employing modern technology to uncover the stories these children left behind. Through DNA analysis and advanced imaging techniques, they hope to finally give names to the nameless and unravel the practices that led to their preservation. As the investigation progresses, the child mummies of Palermo draw us closer to a past that is both mysterious and poignant. These lost children, preserved in time, may soon have their stories told, stories of love, loss, and the enduring human desire to remember. The haunting faces of Guanajuato's mummies. In the historic city of Guanajuato, Mexico, there's a museum that feels like something out of a dark fairy tale. The Museo de las Momias is home to the naturally preserved bodies of dozens of men, women, and children, each one frozen in a state of eerie stillness. These mummies weren't created through any ancient rituals. Instead, they were victims of circumstance, unearthed when their families couldn't afford the burial tax. The arid climate and unique conditions in the crypts did the rest, preserving them in a way that's both fascinating and unsettling. As you walk through the museum, you're met with the hollow stares of these long-departed souls, their faces twisted in what looks like an eternal scream. The sight is chilling, dried skin pulled tight over fragile bones, hair still clinging to their skulls, and clothing that has withstood the test of time. Among the most heart-wrenching are the infants, dressed in tiny gowns, their innocence making the scene ever more poignant. This grim collection isn't just a tourist attraction, it's a stark reminder of a time when death was a spectacle and poverty could mean eternal exposure. The mummies of Guanajuato, once displayed for a few pesos, now draw visitors from around the world, each one left to contemplate the stories behind those haunting faces. It's an experience that lingers, a reminder of the fragile line between life and death. The mesmerizing tattoos of the Siberian Ice Maiden. High in the remote Altai mountains of Siberia, archaeologists discovered an amazing find, the Siberian Ice Maiden. This 2,500-year-old mummy, preserved by the frozen ground, has drawn attention not only for her incredible preservation, but also for the detailed tattoos that still cover her skin. Buried with valuable goods and 6 horses, the Ice Maiden's resting place suggests she was an important person in the Pazyryk culture, but it's her tattoos that tell the most interesting story. The tattoos are truly fascinating. Along her arm is a detailed image of a deer with large antlers, surrounded by mythical creatures that seem to come to life with just a bit of imagination. These designs are thought to have deep spiritual meaning, possibly showing that the Ice Maiden was a shaman or a respected figure in her community. The artwork and symbols in her tattoos give us a glimpse into a world where body art was a powerful way to express identity and beliefs. The Siberian Ice Maiden continues to captivate us, as her tattoos speak to us from thousands of years ago. Preserved by ice and time, they connect us to an ancient culture where every mark on the skin had deep meaning, bridging the gap between the earthly and the spiritual. The frozen children of Luli. In the icy peaks of the Andes, archaeologists made a haunting discovery that offered a glimpse into the Incan world, the frozen bodies of 3 young children sacrificed over 500 years ago. Known as the Children of Luli, these perfectly preserved mummies were found near the summit of Mount Luli in Argentina. Their peaceful expressions and well-preserved clothing provide a touching look into the past. These children, chosen for their beauty and purity, were part of a sacred ritual called Kapakocha, meant to honor the gods and ensure the prosperity of the empire. The oldest, a 15-year-old girl now called the Luli Maiden, sits with a calm, almost peaceful expression, as if she's simply sleeping. Her elaborate headdress, finely braided hair and richly woven garments show her high status and the importance of her sacrifice. Beside her, the two younger children, a boy and a girl, lie in similar states of preservation, their small bodies telling a story of a journey both sacred and sorrowful. Through advanced scientific methods, researchers have been able to piece together the children's final days, the special diets they were given, the substances used to sedate them, and the long journey that brought them to this remote and freezing mountaintop. The discovery of the children of Luli offers a rare and deeply moving connection to a world where devotion to the gods required the ultimate sacrifice, leaving us to reflect on the complex nature of faith and duty in ancient cultures. The Eerie Frankenstein mummies of Scotland. On the windswept island of South Uist in Scotland, archaeologists uncovered a discovery straight out of a Gothic novel. Mummies made from the remains of multiple people. Found at the Cladhallan site, these so-called Frankenstein mummies were unlike anything seen before. One skeleton was a grim puzzle, with a torso and limbs from one person, a skull from another, and a lower jaw from yet another. It appears that these ancient people deliberately created new ancestors by combining the bones of different individuals. But why would they do this? Researchers believe that this practice might have been a way to merge different family lines or strengthen claims to land. By combining the remains of several ancestors into one body, the living could create a powerful symbol of unity and continuity. These bodies were carefully preserved, lightly in the acidic peat bogs of the region, which helped keep them intact long enough to be assembled in this extraordinary way. This discovery has changed our understanding of mummification, showing that it wasn't just an Egyptian practice but also existed in ancient Britain, where people had their own unique ways of connecting with the past. The chilling tale of Venice's vampire grave. In 2006, archaeologists on the Venetian island of Lazaretto Nuovo made a startling discovery: the skeleton of a woman with a brick firmly wedged in her mouth. This eerie find, dating back to the 16th century, was found in a mass grave filled with plague victims. At that time, fear of vampires was widespread, and this woman was likely accused of being one. The brick was placed in her mouth to stop her from rising from the dead and feeding on the living, a desperate attempt to protect the community from further harm. During the plague years, people were gripped by terror and superstition. The sight of decomposing bodies with bloated bellies and blood seeping from their mouths fueled the belief that these corpses were shroud eaters or vampires spreading the disease. By sealing the mouth of a suspected vampire with something inedible, people hoped to prevent it from chewing through its shroud and rising from the grave. This discovery provides a haunting glimpse into the fears that dominated life during the plague. The so-called Venetian vampire is a stark reminder of how deeply fear and folklore can influence human behavior, especially in times of overwhelming loss and uncertainty. The haunting death of Egypt's screaming mummy. In 1935, archaeologists unearthed a mummy at Deir el-Bahari near Luxor that became famously known as the Screaming Mummy. The woman's face, frozen in an expression of sheer terror, suggested a death filled with agony. Recent CT scans have helped shed light on this mystery. Researchers now believe she may have died suddenly from intense pain or a heart attack, causing a rare phenomenon called cadaveric spasm. This condition caused her facial muscles to contract violently at the moment of death, preserving her haunting scream. Unlike many hastily buried mummies, the Screaming Mummy was embalmed with great care using expensive ingredients like juniper oil and frankincense. She was also adorned with fine jewelry, including gold and silver rings, indicating her high status. These details suggest that despite her terrifying final moments, she was someone of significant importance, possibly related to the high-ranking official Senmut. While the exact cause of her death remains a mystery, the Screaming Mummy continues to captivate and unsettle those who study her, offering a haunting glimpse into the life and death of ancient Egypt. The saltman of ancient Iran. In 1993, miners working in Iran's Duzlak salt mine made an unexpected and eerie discovery: the mummified head of a man preserved for centuries by the salt that surrounded him. This was just the first of several saltmen unearthed in the mine, with each find revealing more about life and death thousands of years ago. The salt acted as a powerful preservative, keeping even fine details like hair, clothing and a gold earring remarkably well preserved. These ancient miners likely met their fate in a mine collapse, their bodies sealed in a salty tomb. Dating back as far as 300 BC, these mummies offer a rare glimpse into the Achaemenid and Sasanian periods. The tools, textiles and personal items found alongside them shed light on the harsh realities faced by those who toiled in these mines. Today, the saltmen are displayed in museums, serving as a haunting reminder of how the earth can unexpectedly preserve history, allowing us to connect with lives lived long ago. The hidden warriors of Peru's cloud forests. High in the cloud-covered mountains of northern Peru, the Chachapoya people, known as the Warriors of the Clouds, built a civilization that continues to fascinate archaeologists. Thriving around AD 800, these resilient people carved their homes and tombs into steep limestone cliffs, where stone sarcophagi marked with human-like faces still watch over the valleys below. The Chachapoya were fiercely independent, resisting the powerful Inca Empire until their eventual defeat in the late 15th century. Their crowning achievement, the Fortress of Quelap, stands about 9,850 feet or 3,000 meters above the Utcubamba River, predating Machu Picchu by centuries. This massive citadel, with its circular stone structures and towering walls, showcases their architectural skill and determination to protect their land. Although the Chachapoya were eventually absorbed into the Inca Empire, their legacy lives on through the ruins they left behind, offering a rare glimpse into a culture as mysterious as the misty mountains they once called home. The monks who became living Buddhas. In the sacred mountains of Yamagata, Japan, the Sokushinbutsu, monks who self-mummified, represent a rare and profound form of spiritual dedication. These monks followed the path of Shugendo Buddhism, a tradition that blends ancient mysticism with strict ascetic practices. Through years of intense fasting and meditation, they prepared their bodies to enter a deep meditative state, eventually transitioning from life to death while seated in a meditative pose. The journey to becoming a Sokushinbutsu wasn't just a personal quest for enlightenment, it was an act of deep compassion. Monks like Setsumon Kai, who mummified himself in 1829, believed their sacrifice would allow them to continue protecting and guiding others even after death. Setsumon Kai's story is particularly moving. During an epidemic that caused widespread blindness, he offered one of his own eyes to the gods in an effort to save those who were suffering. Today, these monks are revered not as mere mummies, but as eternal guardians. Their preserved bodies serve as lasting symbols of their unwavering commitment to the well-being of others. Thank you for diving into these bizarre mummy stories with us. If you found these unusual tales captivating, please like, share and comment below. We'd love to know which story intrigued you the most. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more strange and fascinating content, and explore the videos on your screen for even more bizarre and amazing stories.